Hi, Maria.
Hi, John.
Hi. So, how do you want to do it? Have you got questions to me, or I can ask you questions? Whatever. I'm easy. Whatever way you want to use the time.
Okay, I've got a few different things to raise. I've got a few questions, but yeah, a bit of both-way conversation would be quite good too.
Okay.
There are a few different things that I'd like to talk about. I'd like to ask you about as well. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it then.
Okay,
Floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm the mental health first aid instructor for the Trust, and that's a fantastic role to have. I'm also a clinical educator. Now, I've always felt that mental health first aid is really quite a crucial thing. We know that well-being has got that well-documented support on its impact for productivity, performance, engagement. And so mental health first aid fits right in with that. Now, mental health first aid, for me, it's about understanding the impact of mental health issues, in understanding the impact of life on our mental health. It's about understanding the signs and symptoms, and this is what our mental health first aiders can do. They understand the impact of factors on mental health, they understand the issues, and they're able to recognise a crisis and help people with a crisis or avert that crisis. So for me, it's really crucial. And they do that using a 5-point action plan. So it's very systematic, and a major part of it is protecting your own well-being. So for me, before mental health first aid, yeah, it was great doing my job as a mental health nurse, but when it came to friends and colleagues getting in touch with me, it was all absorbing. Oh wow, I'd be on the phone for all hours of the day and night and throwing everything in. Not anymore. With mental health first aid, I know what I'm doing for that person, so the mental health first aiders will listen non-judgmentally. Yeah. They'll be confidential about it wherever that is possible. Obviously, if someone's life's at risk, they can't keep that confidentiality there, but otherwise they're people that understand that confidentiality and that non-judgmental listening. But the important part of it as well is the signposting, the appropriate signposting. So they're not statisticians or therapists, they're not diagnosticians, they'll be there to listen and give support. So John, you mentioned the Facebook group earlier, and I thought, well, there's a lot that we do on that, a lot of social interaction, and the mental health first aiders are on there too. I just wondered what your thoughts were around the Facebook group.
Great question. Well, I think it's fantastic. It's something I've been wanting to set up for a long time, and I've experience of having worked in organisations previously where there's this thing called a closed Facebook page, which keeps some, not a huge amount of control, but sort of sets who can be a part of it. And it works, when it works well, I think, as a real useful forum where people can have a community, can share things, can have a bit of fun, but at the same time be part of something together. And I think it can be a real powerful part of a whole suite of things that from a trust perspective, where we can engage much better with staff, because previously I don't think we've had a brilliant track record of that, and something that's really important for me in terms of where I want to get the trust to and how we can support staff to do the best job they can. I think it's a great asset, and we'll continue to look at how we can develop it and similar sorts of things.
I think it's great that we get your posts on there as well. I think that really does help us to feel like we're all coming together as one, and that we're really all engaging together, and that we've got your support as well. I think that's fantastic. You mentioned us all being brought together in one place, and that makes me think of the competition that we've just had that was widely publicised on the Facebook page. Angela Beals is a mental health first aider, and of course she organised the competition over at Lings Bar, and I know there are a lot of other people that helped support with that. But what are your thoughts on that competition?
Well, it was interesting. I hadn't. One of the things I try and do quite a lot is to get out and visit different teams, and because of coronavirus, I've not been anywhere for a long time. And as a few weeks ago, the lockdown started to ease a little bit, and staff were more able to receive visits, I tentatively started to go to a few places. And one of the first places I went to was Lings Bar Hospital, and bumped into Angela purely by chance. And she mentioned Mental Health Awareness Week, and would it be possible to perhaps promote some of the things that she was working up? And again, for me, that sort of endeavour, that sort of activity it's part of the community, isn't it? It's an engaging piece, and the activities that she and her colleagues were involved in, and the competitions, I think just a great example of getting people involved in more than just the routine work. And it's that sort of thing that I think contributes to well-being too. So I was, as with the whole of the exec team, really supportive of it.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. Thank you. Another area that we've got mental health first aiders helping with is in the recruitment, retention and the wellbeing team over with Gail Bennett and Jane and Mick that are in the team with her. And they've got a fantastic proposal going through at the moment where, we're trying to look for rainbow rooms throughout the whole trust. We're trying to find those places where we can set somewhere up for people. And Gail and Jane and Mick have actually found a place over in forensics at Rampton Hospital. And they're proposing that we have this space where all the different wellbeing services can come together. And there'll be 3 hot seats there for mental health first aiders. So the mental health first aiders will be able to take phone calls for helping people that are in crisis at that time and able to listen and signpost on. But this is a fantastic thing. Had you heard about it yet? It is just a proposal.
No, I've not heard about that specific proposal. No, it sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. What about the rainbow rooms? What do you think of those?
I think there's obviously the boring stuff around making sure that they're appropriate and they're usable and we can have them. And once we get through, the lockdown and people working home, etc., But those things aside, sound like a great proposal and an important development. I think sometimes working in we describe ourselves, don't we, as a mental health trust, but we need to remember that that's not all we do by a long chalk. And even though some of our core services are mental health services, there's lots of people that work and support those services that might not have any mental health experience or understanding of how it can impact on people. So I think anything that contributes to increasing our expertise and our support for staff, who are across the whole organisation, there's loads of challenging jobs to do, and as you said earlier, if you don't look after your mental health, it can have quite damaging effects, isn't it? So broadly really supportive of that proposal, Maria.
That is fantastic to hear, thank you. One of the things that I'm hoping to put in place is to utilise the mental health first aiders that we've got even more. So in the different rainbow rooms that we're hoping to bring about throughout the trust, we'd like each mental health first aider that's feeling able to do it at the time to dedicate 4 hours a month to sit in those rooms, so that if members of staff feel that they'd like someone to talk to, they're there for them, or if they want to make an appointment to see them, then they can do. So that's one part of it. And when I think shielding has helped to bring this about, as awful as it is, I've had the time to dedicate to it. We've got a lot of shielding staff throughout the hospital, throughout the trust, haven't we?
Yeah. I think that's it's probably a good example of some of the benefits that have come out of this whole crisis. It seems a bit of a perverse thing to say, but it's given us new insights, hasn't it, and new perspectives on all sorts of things that we're too busy to have a look at. And it's, we do it because we do it, and that's the way things have always done it. And we have this time now to think, oh, actually, we haven't done that because we can't, and actually things are better. I hadn't thought of the potential benefits of shielding, but there's lots of other good examples where we've been able to pause and say, actually, when we restart, we don't want to be going back to that way of doing things, because it actually didn't add any value, and we can do it like this to the longer term, and actually whether that's a better patient outcome in the end, or better working environment for staff, or even more productive, then so be it.
It's just great to get everyone working together. I used to be terrified of asking my manager if it was okay to work from home for the day, but I'm not scared of that anymore. For me, one thing that I have to be wary of is not to work at such a high impact and of productivity for a long time, because that, you can sustain that for a few weeks, a couple of months, but I think if you're going on much longer, that's going to affect our mental health. At the moment, I've trained 178 mental health first aiders.
Wow.
We've currently got 112 that have said they're in a good place to be able to help support staff more formally throughout the trust, and they are spread throughout the trust. They're all over, and what we're doing is Alex is putting a register of all of these mental health first aiders onto the Connect page. So if people need to get in touch with a mental health first aider, they can email them, and then it's up to the two of them to decide how to contact further, whether remotely like this, or email, or telephone. But it's great to be building up this service. It's just one part of a large cog. Excuse me.
No, I'd agree, and it's an important part, isn't it? And it's part of our bigger wellbeing offer to staff that we've really started to develop over the last year or so. Because it's important that I think there's a suite of different things. Mental health first aid is a specific thing we're talking about today, but to like I said earlier, to be able to have a variety of things to support staff in being the best they can, it's really important that an organisation this size can aspire to that and make it happen.
It'd be great. It's lovely to have your support with such an initiative as well. It really is. I think it's seeping out into different areas of the trust as well, even for people that are not mental health first aiders. So recently I've worked on a project with one of our back care consultants, Alison Smith, and she sought some information about working from home relating to mental health. So it's starting to seep out throughout the trust. I'm quite excited about what's to come. And John, I was due to retire at the end of June. I've actually put that off now. I'm looking at January, but I will return. But having said that, it's getting so exciting that I don't want to retire. I want to carry on. It's great.
That's good, because you probably won't have heard, I've banned retiring. So no one else is allowed to leave the organisation.
Is that right?
We need experienced staff to stay and help us on our forward journey.
I've shot it then, haven't I? Well, in that case, I think you better pay me a band 7 or 8. How about that?
Hey, we can't get into contract negotiations on a call like this.
Don't it? I haunt Martin Jones with it. Like it's saying, Martin, I'm worth that band 7. Well, if we can't talk about that, how about we talk about some of your favourite things? I've heard some of those on your previous podcasts, but how about some of your favourite things? What about your favourite cake?
Oh, yeah, that's tricky because I've not got a very sweet tooth, so I'm not a big cake eater. If pushed, I don't know. a bit of fruit cake with a piece of cheese, perhaps.
Oh, John, you do realise you've just told a professional cake decorator that you're not really into cake. Fruit cake with cheese.
Sorry for letting you down.
Oh, no. No, that's all right, because you mentioned fruit cake, which is one of my favourite kinds, but with cheese? Now, there's a Facebook post, isn't there?
Have you not come across that?
I have, yes, but I think there's a bit of a debate there, isn't there? What kind of cheese would you have with it?
Well, probably a hard cheese, just, a nice strong cheddar or something like that.
Yeah, a really extra mature cheddar and some fruit cake. Yeah. Well, you don't know, it's coming up to Christmas in a few months. It feels like a few weeks. We'll have to wait and see. Right, okay. Do you have any more questions for me, John?
I don't think so, Maria. It's been a really help, because I was going to ask, what do you do? Because, like I said at the beginning, I feel like I know you through Facebook, but we've not had a conversation before. But the way you've pitched your questions and talked about what you're doing anyway, I think that's probably drawn things to a nice conclusion. Really, I don't have any other things specific to ask, other than to say thank you so much for what you're doing. It's a really, really valuable part of, like you said, some of the infrastructural stuff that will make this, enable the trust to develop along the lines it wants to, and really support staff to do great work. So thank you from me to you and your people and your teams for your contributions to that.
Thank you, John. It's great to have your support with it, as I've said, and hopefully, we can work towards getting at least 10% of that workforce trained up as mental health first aiders, including managers, because I think when we've got the support of people like yourself, we need to cascade that down. We need to get everybody trained in all areas. So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks. That's great.
Thank you. Bye.